When a franchise that shaped your childhood finally comes home, it's not just a product release, it's an emotional event. Inazuma Eleven Victory Road launched in November 2025 after nearly a decade of stops, restarts, and patient fans. For many, it isn't just the newest football RPG, it's the series' full stop moment. A final parade of characters, a cinematic send-off, and a massive chronicle that stretches decades of the franchise into a one playable tapestry. In this video, I'll make one claim. Victory Road isn't merely another sequel, it's the perfect farewell for Inazuma Eleven. Not because it ponders nostalgia, but because it honors it. It completes the storylines, modernizes core systems, and stitches generations of fans together into a single playable legacy. Furthermore, I'll trace three things: what Victory Road actually delivers, how it resolves the franchise's narrative and design arcs, and why this combination of scale, polish, and emotional intent makes it a perfect capstone rather than ordinary installment. And yes, I'll be honest about the bumps, the delays, and the parts that could have been tighter. So by the end, you'll see why this release feels like a carefully composed finale rather than another installment. Let's get into it. Carrying the weight of a legacy. First, let's set the stage. Inazuma Eleven began in 2008 as a quirky hybrid, soccer plus over-the-top anime moves, and a relentless sense of friendship. Over a span of multiple years, it built a fanbase that grew up with it. Those fans are now adults. When Level 5 announced what became Victory Road, expectations were enormous. Fans wanted closure, and Level 5 promised a sprawling, definitive title. But the road to release wasn't smooth. The project accumulated multiple delays over nearly a decade, and that waiting changed the meaning of the launch. What might have been a standard sequel turned into an event, a cultural moment where anticipation itself became part of the game's emotional capital. Level 5's fulfillment of an Asian Day 1 giveaway and their continued communication reinforced the sense that this wasn't a product cycle, it was a promise kept. Furthermore, 2025 was a perfect year where players valued both nostalgia and a modern polish. Fans expected accessibility, cross-platform features, and a cinematic presentation, and Victory Road landed right in that sweet spot. And Level 5 shipped it on Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC with cost-save and cross-play support, building the technical scaffolding fans wanted for a definitive release. Moreover, all of this context matters because a farewell only works if it reaches the people. A definitive goodbye has to be accessible. And by releasing broadly, adding localization, and supporting cross-save, Level 5 made Victory Road able to speak to every cohort of Inazuma fans, old and new. So the emotional bookend would actually be read by the audience it addresses. What Victory Road actually offers. The most talked about feature is Chronicle Mode. This is not a cosmetic museum, it's a playable archive. It consists of over 5,400 recruitable characters drawn from across the franchise, plus story replays and legacy match scenarios. That number isn't marketing puffery, it's the structural spine of the game, a design that reframes nostalgia as an interactive collective goal. Moreover, Story Mode gives you a fresh protagonist and a time jump, the world of Inazuma Eleven 25 years later. And that choice is elegant. It creates a space for new narratives while giving room for cameos, mentor figures, and the passing of torches. It feels like a mature sequel, one that recognizes its aging audience but still invites new players into the fold. Visually, Victory Road leans into cinematic anime sequences, animated by the animation studio MAPPA. And these aren't throwaway intros, they're production level pieces that give key moments real dramatic weight, matching fans' memories of the show's spectacle. Furthermore, the game balances spectacle with systems. It offers modern tactical options, multiple control modes for different players' skill levels, an online competitive mode called Victory Road, and a social hub that turns collecting into a community expression. And that blend makes the title feel like both a completionist archive and a living playable competitive game. Why it feels like a finale. Most sequels either keep repeating the same hero's arc or attempt to reboot. Victory Road chooses a third path. It acknowledges the original protagonist as history and intentionally builds a next generation. And that movement, literally aging the world and creating successor, gives the game closure without erasure. You get the emotional punctuation of seeing mentors in the stands and the thrills of making new legends. Moreover, Chronicle Mode is the key to closure. It doesn't just bring back characters, it reanimates their stories into playable content and lets you recruit them into a unified team. That mechanic transforms nostalgia into agency. You don't just look back, you shape their legacy in the present. It's a design move that converts memory into play, and that conversion is what turns a sequel into a sentimental finale. Furthermore, every great finale uses motifs, victory road layers, musical callbacks, signature attack animations, and UI moments that recall earlier entries, then reframes them into grander contexts. Hearing an old theme swell during a final match or executing a classic recital technique with modern physics and camera work gives you a bittersweet hit that's unmistakably final chapter material. Furthermore, the release also closed social circles outside the game. Level 5 fulfilled year-old giveaways and honored only fans publicly, turning the launch into a communal ritual rather than a mere commercial event. And that sense of care of "we owe you this" is rare in modern publishing and contributes directly to the feeling that this is a proper farewell. Technical and design achievements. Shipping cross-platform with cross-save is harder than it looks. Maintaining parity and save migration across Switch generations, PlayStation tiers, Xbox, and PC requires deliberate architecture and QA. Level 5's cross-save implementation, while still obeying platform purchase rules, means fans can keep their teams across devices, which is crucial for a game that encourages deep collection and care. Technically, curating and balancing over 5,000 characters is a monumental data task. Each recruitable character needs stats, moves, animations, and synergy rules. That scale requires robust tooling, procedural data systems, and careful tuning. Otherwise, Chronicle Mode collapses into a meaningless list. The fact that the players praise the variety suggests Level 5 invested in the necessary backend craftsmanship. High-quality anime sequences require synchronized pipelines, storyboards, key animations, in-engine integration, and voice timing. And collaborating with the top studio for cutscenes elevate narrative moments into set-piece cinematic feasts. And that investment is expensive and logistically complex, but it's the reason why the emotional moments land with real impact. Furthermore, post-launch Level 5's patching showed a modern player-focused approach. They fixed cross-save quirks, rolled out quality-of-life updates, and listened to community feedback in the opening weeks. And that responsiveness matters for a favorite title. Fans want the experience polished, and the ongoing updates keep the narrative alive beyond day one. What a farewell can't fix. Scope is a double-edged sword. Chronicle Mode's enormity is thrilling, but it risks plot. Recruitability doesn't guarantee meaningful character arcs. Some legacy figures may be shallowly represented. Fans who wanted focused storytelling for specific heroes might feel overlooked in a title that tries to be everything to everyone. Moreover, years of delays raise expectations to near impossible levels. Even with mostly positive reviews, some long-awaited fans inevitably feel the payoff didn't perfectly match the years of anticipation. That's not a technical failure so much as a human one. Expectations warp when release becomes a long story. Just look at GTA 6. Furthermore, price came up in early conversations. Level 5 positioned Victory Road as a premium definitive package, which some players accepted and others criticized as steep, especially for a franchise with many younger fans. Additionally, canceling or not prioritizing mobile handheld parity for some versions disappointed parts of the audience who grew up playing portable installments. Finally, there's a meta risk. If fans treat this as the last true Inazuma experience, they may freeze the franchise in amber. Finales can calcify nostalgia, making future experiments harder. That's why part of the perfect farewell is leaving the door open. Victory Road does that by introducing new protagonists and systems, but future teams will need courage to build beyond it. Why this is the perfect farewell. Victory Road achieves closure by honoring past arcs while creating future possibilities. The narrative choice to set the story decades later allows original heroes to exist as legends, and new heroes to inherit their legacy. That structural narrative is exactly what a finale should do, and arcs while leaving room to grow. Moreover, Chronicle Mode is a design masterstroke because it transforms passive nostalgia into active gameplay. Fans aren't only watching their old favorites, they're recruiting, training, and playing, and that conversion is what separates nostalgia caching from a meaningful farewell. Furthermore, from cinematic MAPPA sequences to cross-platform engineering and an enormous character roster, L5 built a title that signals respect. for the IP, for the fans, and for the generational memory of the series. And that kind of reverence, backed by real production investment, is rare, and it's what makes this release feel ceremonial rather than transactional. Finally, a farewell isn't just inside the game, it happens in communities, streams, fan arts, and conventions. L5's outreach, fulfilling all giveaways, early access rates, and cross-platform releases, turned the launch into a shared ritual. And for a generation that grew up with Inazuma 11, Victory Road is a moment of collective nostalgia made playable. In the end, Inazuma 11 Victory Road completes the franchise not by repeating what came before, but by reframing it. By turning memory into mechanics, mentorship into gameplay, and a long wait into a communal celebration, I admit it's imperfect, messy in places, and yes, huge, but those very qualities are why it works as a farewell. It respects the past while handing the baton forward. But what's your opinion on all this? If you played Victory Road, tell me if the Legacy Recruit surprised you the most, or which cutscene made you tear up. And if you haven't, would this be a good entry point? Let's talk in the comments. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to watch more videos like this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay silver.